around Britain. But in fact, they're here now, halfway through the sound check at their gig at the Hammersmith Odeon. We've got two B15 contributors who want to talk to them. Nicola Perkins, who comes from West Bridgeford in Nottingham, and Katie Carmichael from Sutton Coldfield, where the Ariels are. They both think that the group should get more exposure in the media, so that's why they're here. Not just to talk to the Japanese, but so that the British can turn on to the band that's called Japan. With me, two of the members of the band, David Sylvian, who is the vocalist and also plays guitar and keyboards, and Mick Karn, who plays bass and saxophone. Gentlemen, welcome. Could you tell me a little bit about the background of the band? How long have you been together? How did you get together? David?
Well, basically, we came from school and formed the band simply because we didn't have any other interest other than music. So that's basically what brought us together. And it's been like a long struggle, about 6 years now. We've known each other and been playing together. Actually learning from scratch the instruments because we couldn't play a note when we started.
So literally you just said, right, let's be a band and up who was going to play what virtually?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah. It was just on the spur of the moment, whichever instrument we took a fancy to, we just picked up on. It took a lot of learning, but I think it's worth it because we very early on developed our own style of playing rather than being taught a style. And I think that's very important. I think that's basically how we've been able to create our own sound.
Okay, ladies, you wanted to talk to Japan? You may. Nicola?
Okay, why did you choose the name Japan?
It was out of desperation more than anything else, I think. We were due to do our first concert, and we didn't have a name. And the way Dave's always written the lyrics is with words that sound nice. And this was another word that we like the sound of.
It's basically because it conjures up certain images, and that's something we've played around with quite a lot, images, and I think Japan does that. It also confuses people quite a lot, which is another reason I like it.
Yeah, and talking of images, you're wearing quite a lot of makeup now. When you were at school and started wearing it, how did people react to you?
They were quite against the idea, I think. I thought that a lot of the kids would join in and take it as like a
rebellion against the system sort of thing, but it worked the other way.
Let me, for those who aren't listening in stereo, try and do a quick visual description of our guests. David's wearing a comparatively normal jacket and tie. The only thing that might be slightly different is the bleached blonde and auburn hair and the eyeliner and the lipstick. Mick's got a kind of red futurist, I put that in large quotes, jumpsuit, not unlike those the monkeys used to wear in the 1960s, with bleached blonde hair in the front, and again, full makeup. Carry on, just filling in.
Okay. Would you consider dropping the makeup to be more acceptable, Mick?
No, because I mean, that was one of the reasons why we did stick together at the beginning, because we weren't accepted by anyone else, and it was the only way we could work together. And it would have been the easiest thing in the world to drop it along our career, but that would be finding success on somebody else's terms and not our own.
And that's like ultimately unsatisfying. You've got to be able to make a success of yourself, not of somebody's idea of what you should be.
Let's bring Katie into the conversation. Hello, Katie.
Talking of acceptability, do you ever feel that there's something about it that appeals to fans in places like Japan and Canada and doesn't appeal to people in places like Britain?
I see absolutely no reason why we should appeal to those people and not to people in England. I cannot see any reason. I can see why some people accept us much quicker than they do in England. I think England has a lot of biased opinions about certain things, certain prejudices, and they're very hard to break down, and that's why I think it's taken so long to build up a following in England.
I'm very surprised at the following you've got in Canada, which has got this kind of Calgary Stampede image, kind of the American redneck bit.
Yeah, I really don't understand that. I mean, it's very hard to begin to take your audience to pieces and say, well, why are these people coming to see us and so on. I think basically it comes down to exposure. We haven't had that much exposure in England. I think the more exposure you get, the much easier the whole thing becomes.
How do you feel about not being successful here?
It's never really bothered me that much, simply because of the success we've had in other countries. In the beginning it did a little, because living in England, you tend to think the world is as small as this island. But once you get outside of England, you realise there's a lot of people out there that want to listen as well. So I mean, it doesn't really bother me. But now it is changing. quite dramatically. I mean, the audience has grown.
Is it pure chauvinism that the Japanese have taken you to their hearts? Or is it just that they think, gosh, someone name a band after us?
I don't think so. I think that caused a lot of interest in the beginning, obviously. But I think the Japanese are very into the theatrical side of things. I think they picked up all the makeup much quicker than they did the music. But the thing is that had there been something not substantial in the music, we wouldn't have lasted for so long in Japan. It's been about 4 years now. We've been successful there. So.
Katie?
Mick, have you doing anything special to ensure success in this country in the future? For instance, I think the Art of Parties is more funky than your previous work.
That's just the direction we seem to be heading in. I wouldn't say it was done consciously to find more success here. I think we're all quite happy with the way we are in England at the moment. I don't think any of us would relish the fact of being as successful here as in a country you live in, as we are in Japan.
Has the progression anything to do with the loss of Rob Dean?
No, not really. Not at all. Not at all. It's just a natural progression. You can't. We try not to force the changes that we go through musically. That happens by instinct, and this is just another change that we've come up against.
On the subject of the music, Live in Tokyo is being re-released. Was that on your suggestion to cash in on the tour? Or?
No, not really. The company rang up and asked us and told us they were releasing it and said, "Do you mind?"
Because you're Switch record labels.
Yeah. And we said, "No, not really." But they would have released it anyway. I mean, they're famous for cashing in on success or things that they think are going to be successful. I think that's how the company make their money.
Well, it's bad timing, though. I think it would have gone down a lot better if it wasn't at the same time as this single.
Well, we'll hear the new single shortly. More questions, Lena?
Okay, as Adrian sort of suggested, you're associated with the futurist theme.
I didn't. I was just using it to describe the clothes, honest. I nearly got beaten to a pulp by Spandau Ballet for saying that.
What do you think of these so-called futurists, and are you happy to be linked with them?
Well, we don't really associate ourselves with them or with any bracket of music. We don't like to be slotted into a bracket along with other bands.
I just don't think our music has anything, isn't that similar to what's happening in like the futurist movement, if you like, if there is such a thing. I think that some of the bands that are linked with that name have taken certain things from us and adapted it and approached it with like a new attitude, and therefore they've adopted something, and people look at us and say, well, we can link that to the futurists and so on. But I think that our outlook on what we do and the way we dress and the music is totally different from their way of thinking in general.
Before we have some music, one quick question from Kate.
David, you're often accused of copying Brian Ferry in your vocal style. How do you react to this sort of criticism?
I've been compared to an awful lot of people since I've started. People have to make comparisons, especially journalists, because they have to write about music to people, they're not listening to it. They want to describe something, so it's a very difficult job for them. But I've been compared to so many people in the past that if I took them all quite seriously, I just wouldn't be able to carry on. I have such a big conscience, I wouldn't be able to carry on. I think there's a similarity in style, but they're making like mounting out of molehills.
Well, let the listener decide, because we can let you hear it rather than write about it. This is Japan, The Art of Parties, and the lines are open. Fingers crossed. 580-441101. 580-4411. The Art of Parties from Japan. That's the new single. Not to be confused with the re-released single, which we will play a little bit later, Equal Opportunities for All Record Companies. That's what we tried to do on B15. I've got David and Mick from Japan in the studio with me, along with Nicola and Katie. And the lines are open. Let's toss a coin and go to line 4. Liza or Lisa Price in Marylebone, just up the road. Hello, Lisa or Liza?
Hello?
Is it Lisa or Liza?
Lisa.
Lisa, hello. You can talk to Japan. Go ahead, please.
Okay, I'd like to know, do they plan to replace Rob Dean?
No, there's no real plans to replace Rob. The idea is to loosen up the formula of Japan so that we can get outside musicians in to play with us at any time, to bring a freshness into the band, into the studio.
You aren't necessarily guitarists, just instrumentalists.
So it'll just be the two of you and Steve and Richard?
Yeah, there'll just be the 4 members now.
Okay.
Okay, and I saw him at the Hammersmith Odeon last night. It's absolutely magnificent.
Thank you.
There you go. Any tickets left for tonight?
Yeah, there's a few tickets.
There you are. Quick plug. Thank you, Miss Price.
Okay, thank you.
Bye-bye. To Great Yarmouth in East Anglia, and line 2, John Newman.
Hello.
Hello, John.
Hello. I would like to ask David a question, if I may. Could he tell me if he has any particular method of songwriting which he adheres to strictly, and if he gets an idea in his head about a song, how does he follow that through onto tape?
I do have a certain method of writing, but I do try to get away from it as much as possible because I don't really like working to a strict formula, because you start writing songs that sound the same and that can become a problem. Normally, though, I start with a title. I have a working title which I keep in my head for about a period of about 3 months, and slowly build up a picture of what the song should sound like, and over that time the song will fall together. I'm not a prolific songwriter as such. I write about 10 songs a year maybe, and each song is structured, as I say, over a long period of time, so that there's no sort of, nothing's left to chance once it gets into the studio.
Okay, thanks, John. Let me go to line 3 and Magnus, is it Signs? Signs. Magnus Signs in Wandsworth. Hello, Magnus.
Yeah, hi, David. What are your views on wearing makeup? How do you think it affects your image?
How does it affect my image?
Yeah, the clothes and the makeup.
Well, people would say that is my image.
Yeah, I mean, lots of people consider, men wearing makeup sort of homosexual.
Yeah, I mean, people do still believe that, and I think more so in the past. When I first started wearing makeup, it was basically assumed that I was gay simply because I was wearing it. That's what I was talking about earlier, about some people, English people especially, having built-in prejudices and certain ideas about certain things that it's very hard to break down. I don't believe that I'm going to be the person to break those things down. All I can do is carry on doing things my way.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Magnus. It's weird, isn't it? Because if you wear makeup on stage, that's perfectly acceptable.
Exactly.
Nobody questions, Richard Burton comes on with all the schlap on and nobody says a thing. As soon as you walk out the stage door,
it's considered something totally unusual.
Very strange. Let's go to line 4 again. Anne I can't say it. Let's try Shagasi. Hello, Anne.
Hello?
How do you pronounce your surname?
Smardassi.
I was close. Not very. Whereabouts are you calling from?
London.
Whereabouts?
Near Golders Green.
Oh, yeah. What can we do for you?
Can I ask David a question, please?
Please do.
Hello?
Hello, Anne.
Which is your favourite song out of all the ones you sung?
Very difficult, depending on what mood I'm in. I think the most successful thing I've written is The Other Side of Life. I think that's the track that I'm most pleased with.
Okay, is it possible to ask your autograph photograph, please?
Have you got any with you, fella?
Not with us, but it can be arranged, yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's the first person to ask, and that's the last one we'll do.
Thanks.
So I'll hand you back to the fish tank, and they will take down your accoutrements, and we'll pass, and then the boys can send us a photograph for you, Anne, and we'll put it in the post to you.
Thanks.
Okay?
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Line 1, Henley-on-Thames, nice part of the country. Lena Coleman.
Yeah, it's Lena Coleman.
Hello, Lena Coleman.
I'd like to ask Nick if they've got any immediate albums planned.
Well, we haven't written any material for a new album yet, but we're planning to do it in stages, 2 or 3 songs at a time. We're going to have to squeeze it in between tours and visits abroad. So there's no definite plans as yet.
Okay, I saw you last night. I thought you were fantastic.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Who is handling your publicity these days? Let me take a final call. Before I want to ask you one question. Working around the world, we talked about acceptance. The fans, like the British fans, obviously, who were at the gig yesterday, have enjoyed themselves. Do you find different reactions? I mean, the Japanese, I've always been told, are terribly polite.
Oh, they are.
They say please before they tear the clothes off you and things.
Yeah, they are very... I think because they're put under such restrictions at the shows, they're not allowed to stand up, they're not allowed to do certain things, otherwise the whole show's called off, So, I mean, they're forced to behave in a certain way, which is unfortunate. I think all around the world, the audience definitely changed dramatically, But I think for us, we really enjoy the London audiences. I think they're one of the best in the world. Yeah.
Well, you've got to get back for the sound check. So one final call. Line 2, Juliana Minto.
Hello?
Hello, where are you, Juliana?
Derby.
Where?
Derby.
Derby, yeah.
I could talk to Nick, please.
Go ahead.
About what inspired you to go into Blitz or fashions. And I've seen photographs...
Sorry, will you say that again, please, Julian?
...inspired you to go into Blitz.
Into Blitz?
Yeah, and fashions. And who do you look up to?
What do you mean?
You mean Blitz the club?
No, Blitz in clothes, like Steve Strange. And who do you look up to?
Oh, I see. Who's your artistic inspiration for your clothing, I think is the question.
God, what a question.
Yeah, we like it.
I wasn't aware that I was into a Blitz clothing set, am I?
No, not really, but it's your hair colour. You just... Oh, I think you're marvellous. I'm nervous, but who do you look up to as your main artist?
To tell you the truth, I don't. I mean, it sounds silly, but I just don't. I just do whatever I feel, whatever I think of. That might look nice.
Pure personal taste.
Yeah.
Thank you for...